And I'm back with Apollo Justice. Time to do part 1 of the Turnabout Serenade trial. So I'm going to try and get through to the next day's investigation in a couple of videos. So let's see how long that takes. Court is now in session for... How do I say it? Machi Tobaye, Your Honor. The Pixie of the Arpeggio. Right. His trial. Court is in session. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is A-OK, Herr Judge. Very well. Prosecutor Gavin. My opening statement, yeah? No, actually, there's something else I wanted to ask you about. Yes? Say you're going to visit someone in the hospital with an incurable disease. What do you say to them? What? I mean, you wouldn't say, get well soon, right? You'd only be kicking them while they're down. What are you talking about? Actually, I'm going to visit someone who's terminally ill. Right after this trial, the Chief Justice's son. But his son is afflicted with the most terrible disease. He doesn't have long, it seems. So I thought I'd pay him a visit. I thought saying something moving might be the order of the day. Why don't grown-ups ever say what's on their mind instead of just pretending? She's looking at me with something like disgust. Hey! What are you looking at me for? In any case, I'm a bit busy today, so I'd like to wrap this up quickly. Prosecutor Gavin, your opening statement. You're in luck here, Judge. I believe you'll be going to the hospital visit sooner than you think. Huh? First, to review the victim in this case. Romain Latouche, age 35. Global manager for diva songstress Lamiroir. Cause of death, blood loss due to being shot by a large caliber revolver. I was going to say revival. Duh. The report has all the details. The court accepts this into evidence. I don't know why I said revival instead of revolver, but that's quite large, isn't it? A direct hit from that could knock a man off his feet. I don't know if that's actually true or not. However, the bullet struck him in the shoulder. The damage to his body slight. Death was not immediate. Sadly, his blood loss was such that he could not be saved. I suppose the victim's condition could have been much worse, considering. 2 shots were fired. One shot missed. The other penetrated and passed right through his shoulder. Both bullets were found in the wall of the scene. Observe this diagram. This is where the bullets hit. I see. The court accepts this into evidence. If we're talking about a .45 caliber, we must assume that the killer was adept in its usage. Really? Apparently. Weapons the size of a powerful kickback. If, say, the judge tried to fire one and break every bone in his body, the defense will take more care in choosing examples. As I was saying, the victim was shot backstage, in a dressing room. This dressing room has only one entrance, this door. And it does seem to be the case, yes? However, there were witnesses who heard the gunshots. He's talking about you and Emma, huh? Yet, when the witnesses entered the room, it was empty. Save for the victim's body, of course. But that's impossible! Exactly. This murder was impossible. For all but one person. That is, of course, the defendant, Machi Tobaye. Only the defendant could have committed the crime? But how? It's quite simple. The circumstances of the crime scene will make it clear. Very well, I assume you have testimony to back up this claim. Stupid phone. Show the witness to the stand. Your name and profession, please. I'm a Skye. I'm a detective for the police department. I was on security detail in the concert forum that night. Emma seems tired somehow. Security at the concert, you say? Some security I was. Couldn't even stop a murder. Now don't blame yourself, things like this happen. I've made even bigger mistakes in my career, you know. I'm sure that makes her feel better. I want to hear about those bigger mistakes. In any case, because you were on security detail, the crime was quickly discovered. And we were able to identify the killer. You may give the court your testimony, if you would. Describe the circumstances of that day and your discovery of the crime, please. All right. Night of the murder, I was on security backstage at Prosecutor Gavin's request. Only people involved in the concert in some way were allowed backstage. At the beginning of the third set, I heard shots. I went into the room, filled with blaring rock music, and found the body. I examined the scene and determined that only the defendant could have done it. It was lucky that a detective was the first on the scene. But that door was the only way out of the room, right? Yeah, pretty much. Then I don't get it. How can they say Monty did it? Looks like we need a bit more information. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination. Okay, press on all of this. Okay. Yeah, I basically just press on all the info. The night of the murder was the night of the concert, right? That's right. What was a detective doing in security detail? It was only a concert. That's my thought exactly. But orders are orders, even if they come from rock gods. Prosecutor Gavin? Yeah, allow me to explain. I smelled something that day, you might say. The stench of conspiracy. The day in the concert hall. Conspiracy? Well, isn't it obvious? My keys! Not all morning, no, the whole day was ruined. And it's all because someone stole my keys. Couldn't ride my hog to the show, couldn't open my guitar case. There he goes again. Isn't it possible he simply misplaced them? Misplaced them? Misplaced items just don't wander into a murder victim's hand. Wait, what's this? If your keys were in the victim's hand, then that makes you a prime suspect. Actually, it doesn't. Because he was on stage the entire fucking show. Love, slow acting and new. Atraquinine. I think I pronounced that. Is waiting for you. He's singing something. Does everything that this guy have to be so over the top? The killing happened in the middle of my concert. I was like a sailor, adrift in the sea of sound. Anyway, I don't want anything else stolen. So I put the detective with the most time on there. Oh! I see, I can accept it. Well, I can't! What do you mean, time on their hands? The testimony? Nah. Ouch. We were let in, though. I didn't know about that. I certainly didn't invite you. I gave the Fräulein special permission to be there. I wanted to see her again. Oh boy, did you hear that? We're officially involved now. Gee, great. Some other hangers-on tried to get backstage, but I drove them off. I threw snack oodles at their faces. So no other outsiders were there. And then... I believe we were having a chat when we heard the shots. You were the one chatting. I was eating snackoos. Hey, no snacking in court. And you're sure the shots came from Lamiroir's room? Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I'm the one being cross-examined here. Here, this'll keep you quiet. Ow! Damn, these look like sausage links. They gotta be pretty hard. So, about what? We were right. It's hard to be mistaken about. Please either talk or eat, not at the same time. Right, so me and Mr. Lawyer opened the dressing room door. Hold it! Rock? Blaring, yes. When you say rock, are you referring to perhaps this rock and roll music? Judge, you're making me look like a fucking savant of everything that exists in the world. That's right. When we went into the dressing room, music was blaring over the speakers in the wall. They pipe in sound from the stage into the backstage through speakers. That way people in the back can hear when they're supposed to be on stage. Did it have to be so loud? You don't listen to the Gaviners with your ears. You feel it with your entire body and soul. I always have the backstage monitors at full volume. When we walked into the room, the band was playing Guilty Love, I believe, making it easy to determine the time of the crime. If you could hear that music playing, then everyone on stage for the song has an alibi, including myself. Anyway, I closed off the scene and started my investigation. Hold it! How could you know something like that? As I said, it was clear from the circumstances. Listen, we know there was only one exit from the room. It was in the door. The small window only opened a tiny crack, and I was standing in front of the door. So how could the killer have fled the scene? There's only one possibility. The air vent. Oh! But that air vent was too small. Who could... Exactly. Uh-oh. Certainly no way you could get through. Nor me. The only one who could fit through was a child. Remember, access to those rooms was limited. Only those involved with the concert were allowed. And of all the people involved in the concert, only one is small enough to be considered a child. The defendant? The pixie of the arpeggio flitted up to the sky. It disappeared from the scene of the crime. But that's just conjecture. Oh, there's no other way out of the room. You were there, you should know, Hair Forehead. And there's another vital piece of evidence. Wait, what? Marks were found in the air vent grill. Traces that it had been opened. Wait, what? And something else was found, quite clearly. The defendant, Machitobaye's fingerprints. Oh, shit. Order! 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 That air vent was the only way out of the room. The defendant's fingerprints were found on the grill. Well, Hair Forehead, what fairy tale does this suggest to you? Ugh. Only one could pass through that vent, that doorway to heaven. And that one is our pixie. Why are you looking at me, Apollo? Hey, I was out whooping it up in the audience. So this was his decisive evidence. Quite decisive indeed. I believe there's enough of that. The prosecution has a rather convincing case. The only way in or out of the crime scene was watched, making the defendant the only one who could possibly leave the scene. Simple and decisive. Yeah. I believe we've heard enough to determine our verdict. Even if I wasn't in a hurry to make a hospital visit, I'm sure the Chief Justice will appreciate the gesture. Unfortunately, we have no direct witnesses. Fortunately, the criminal left decisive evidence for us. That will have to be enough. That can't be over already. I believe this trial is finished. If the defense has no contradicting evidence, the prosecution has presented our proof clear and plain. If you have contradicting evidence, it better be clear and plain. Paul, they got us on the ropes already. You better come up with something quick. I know. What can get us out of this? We need evidence or a witness that could prove Machi's innocence. Without that, Mr. Justice, do you have contradicting proof that can overturn the prosecution's case? If you do, you'd better tell about it now. This is it. And so soon? If I mess this one up, it's all over. The court wants contradicting proof. Prosecutor Gavin, you claim there are no witnesses? Are you absolutely sure? Absolutely. I'd swear to my career as a prosecutor. And on my million-seller hit, At Quinine, My Love. There he goes again. That's too bad, because there was a witness. Oh, really now? But how did you come to possess knowledge the prosecution clearly does not? Because I'm the only one in the world who knows this. What? The victim said that before he died. Perhaps he did, and perhaps he did not. What do you mean by that? All we know is what Herr Forehead says he said. It's no testimony, especially since it comes from the defense attorney himself. But it's the truth. He said it. And I even told you about it, but apparently you ignored me completely. It's my policy to fully investigate everything I deem relevant. Clearly, this rookie lawyer thinks he can tell me how to do my job. That's enough. Mr. Justice, we need clear contradictory proof from you. This witness of yours unknown to the prosecution. I hope you're right. Failure carries a stiff penalty. Perhaps a stiffer penalty than usual. Let's hear the name of your witness.
Take that!
Lamiroir? Recall Mr. Latuse's last words. The siren! Oh, he means the siren! That's right, the siren of the ballad, Lamiroir. Lamiroir was only on stage for the second set. She had access to the backstage area. She could have been a witness. I see. Well, Prosecutor Gavin, my claim still stands. There is no witness to this crime. Very well. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth. Ooh. That is not a phrase you should be using for someone like Lamiroir, but we will now take a break from Detective Emma Skye's cross-examination. Please show Lamiroir to the witness stand. She would say nothing the night of the murder. But not today, though. Today we'll drag the story right out of her, no matter what it is. Oh, he seems comfortable and confident. It is my distinct honor to welcome the siren of the ballad to her courtroom. You are too kind. Oh, so you can speak English? Yes. Yes, I can. Though I am not very good, there's much I do not know. You speak so well. Have you spent time here before? Actually, I do not know how I came to have knowledge of your language, nor where I studied it. What does she mean? What does she mean she doesn't know? I too thought to call her as a witness, but I did not. I had a reason, of course. What's that? Lamiroir suffers from amnesia. Amnesia? Lamiroir is not my true name, yet I remember nothing of the time before I was given it. Nothing of the time before I started singing on stage. Wow, she's even more mysterious than I thought! As a lauded singer, Lamiroir, she lives a good life. There are little difficulties for her thanks to her success, yet I did not wish to subject her to unnecessary stress. I see. I care surprisingly little for people's pasts. You have nothing to fear from this court. Thank you. Yet there is something I do not understand. I am being called as a witness? What might I say? No one will tell me anything of what happened. Let me be frank. I did not want to ask you up here to testify, yet that young gentleman with the white forehead over there was adamant that you stand. Oh my. Congratulations, Apollo, you're the bad guy! Well, now that you're here, please give us your testimony. And if nothing else, the sound of your voice is welcome. Tell us what you saw the night of the crime. As for what I saw nothing. That night I was invited on stage, or to sing on stage, and this I did. I did not return backstage after the second set. Then I was led by police to Mr. Gavin's dressing room and told to wait there. That was where I learned that something had happened, but I wasn't told the details. I must say you sound wonderful. Just testify. I hope he was too distracted to hear what she was actually saying. Well, there you have it. She saw nothing. Now we can only pray that the defense has had the sense to admit defeat and refrain from detaining her longer as she need be. Wow, you just got better, Apollo. Way to go. Very well, Mr. Justice. Keep it short and sweet. She wouldn't talk the night of the crime. She must know something, and I gotta find out what.
Objection!
I'm sorry, but I'm having trouble believing you. You remember this brooch, do you not? Why, she was wearing it from her song. Care to add that to your testimony, Prosecutor Gavin? What? This brooch was found after the murder took place, at the very scene of the crime. What? Lamiroir, how did your brooch get backstage if you did not go there yourself? And as Prosecutor Gavin has just told us, you had been wearing it during your performance that night. Okay, that's kind of neat. I like that. What is the meaning of this? Please explain. Lamiroir? Uh-oh. She says English is quite difficult. That trick's not gonna work. Your forehead might be large, but you are a lawyer. But you've missed one important fact. What now? In fact, at the time of the incident, I went backstage, but only for a moment. What? Think back to the moment of the crime. You know of where I speak. Is she really saying all that? What's she talking about, Apollo? Right when the incident occurred... No! She's talking about that? Uh-oh. I looked into the room. Just a glance, mind you. So this is when your brooch dropped? Well, that explains that. It does. There was no other time I could have dropped it. But that's ridiculous! You only looked in for an instant, but you dropped your brooch? Her forehead. She's raised a possibility. The only thing you can do to counter that is evidence. So she looked into the crime scene. Actually, I intended to go into the dressing room. I knew nothing of what had happened, of course. But the moment I opened the door, I heard a horrible voice. Her forehead shouting, "Who's there?" no doubt. A horrible voice indeed. I closed the door immediately. Well, that explains the brooch. Let's return to your testimony. That's too convenient. She's hiding something. You did look into the room, though, right? Yes. Testifies to what you saw. Very well, though it was only the briefest of glimpses.
Gotcha!
The late Mr. Latouche's body, you say? Yes. You know something more about Mr. Latouche's death than you're saying. What? I can see you trying not to remember. But the effort you made you swallow. You can't fool my eyes. It's true. It was so terrible, after all. Why did Mr. Latouche have to be shot? One moment. Yes? What was it you said? Why did Mr. Latouche have to be shot? Yes? She was hiding something, I knew it. I'm afraid you haven't realized it, but your words just now contradicted your testimony. How could that be? Take this. Tell me, how did you know he had been shot? Huh? Well, Immediately following the incident, a gag order was placed on the scene. This is the document proving that. In your testimony, you told the court, "No one told me anything about the incident." Furthermore, you testified that you'd seen nothing. Yet you knew that Mr. Latouche had been shot. How could you have known? Oh, I was not going to do York in that voice. It seems like a weird thing for her to do, but... You aren't hiding something from this court, I hope. That sweet song of hers is sounding a little too sweet. Now I remember. Please, allow me to add to my testimony. Of course. All we want to know is the truth. She looks kind of pale, huh? She saw something, I know it! Even if the victim said so.
Objection!
Lies are hardly becoming of such a creature. A put-down worthy of a prosecutor, Mr. Justice. Such put-downs are hardly becoming of you, Apollo. Stop polishing your forehead, start polishing your character, huh? Come on, can I be cool for once? No, you're Apollo. You're not cool. Observe the diagram. Lamiroir, you looked in for the door from just a moment, correct? Yes, that's so. But there were bullet holes in the room, yeah? But they were in the wall and the door was on. Huh? You see, assuming you merely glanced into the room, you couldn't have seen those bullet holes. She did it again. York. Lamiroir? Yes? I'm afraid the defense has raised a good point. It appears you've been holding back something. And I must tell you. I must tell you what it is that I saw. Yes. The happenings in this trial are being recorded, and I'm certain it will be on news in Virginia. You understand your reputation is at stake. It falls to you to avoid tarnishing it. Personally speaking, I still believe that cross-examining her will yield us nothing. But she knew how Mr. Latouche died, and he named her as a witness. You must have seen something. Very well. Please continue your testimony. Very well, I shall. Yay. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There was something like a little window there. That's how I saw it. There were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop it. But it wasn't Machi. It was a grown person. I know it was. So you did witness the crime, and the killer was a grown person? Well, this is my first time hearing this, I assure you. Shut up, Wi-Fi. Nice play here, forehead. Very well, Mr. Hair Justice, with hair, you may begin your cross-examination. Great going, Apollo. You were right about her. What's wrong? You don't look too happy. This whole thing smells fishy. That's what's wrong. I think he's getting the feeling that this is leading to something that Mr. Gavin wants. A grown person? That's a little vague. I am sorry. My skill with your language is lacking, I know. Certainly you could at least tell me whether the shooter was male or female. It was a man. A young man. And you're sure of that? Yes. His voice was quite clear. Voice? Voice? Looking at this diagram, it seems the dressing room is quite cluttered. It does seem likely you wouldn't have had a clear view of the shooter. As a singer, I rely more on my ears than my eyes. When I hear a voice, I do not forget it. And that voice was the voice of a man. So you heard a voice, but wait. Couldn't it have been the victim, Mr. Latouche? Absolutely not. Did I not just say that I do not forget a voice? It was Mr. Latouche who spoke. Or if it was Mr. Latouche who spoke, I would have known. Indeed. So you were at the window and you heard the shooter's voice. The voice of a young man. Apollo, this is a good testimony. Proves it wasn't Machi. Indeed. If this turns out to be true, it would cast this case in a considerably different light. What is the defense's opinion? Well, I have to say it's pretty good. Vital, even. This shows that the shooter wasn't Machi. Surely you can't be serious. Well, why not? Lamiroir, I understand why you want to protect him. Yet remember, you are the siren of the ballad, and lies do not become such a creature. What does the prosecution mean? Apollo, what's he talking about? How come no one bats an eye when he says stuff like this? I recall the state of the crime scene quite well. The state of the room? Yes, when the murder took place, that window was closed. I find it hard to believe you could hear a voice through it. What? But I'm sure. Lamiroir, I have nothing but the highest regard for your musical sense. But my opinion of you as a witness is somewhat less. But she's the only eyewitness we have! So you say? And the victim named her Siren as the witness? That's right. That's what we heard your claim. We even entertained the possibility, and it brought us to this. Here, Judge. Yes? The prosecution requests that the witness be excused. Please. I'm afraid I must honor the prosecution's request. There is indeed a question to the witness's credibility, but if she can't testify, then we don't have a chance of proving his innocence. This cross-examination is over. Prosecutor Gavin, you may continue making your case. Dank. Now where were we? Oh yes, I would like to hear from Fräulein Detective.
Objection!
Wait! Let me hear a testimony one last time. But this cross-examination is already over, until such a time as need arises. This witness may leave. I am sorry I could not be of more assistance. Uh-oh. At last, back to the real trial. Ready here, forehead? I hope I didn't just miss my chance. Fräulein Detective, how far had we gotten until you were so rudely interrupted? Don't ask me! I dislike saying the same thing twice. And I never repeat a song for an encore. If you would, Miss Skye. I believe I was saying the only way Mr. Lotus's killer could have escaped was through that air vent in the ceiling. Ah, yes, there was only one door in the room. And a witness, you, standing in front of it. The air vent isn't very big, you see. Kind of limits the people that could get through. That would certainly have been a difficult time. Well, you sure would. Not that you would have been there in the first place, though. Remember, the whole backstage area was off limits to people not involved. The only ones who meet those conditions for our killer is the defendant. A virtuoso performance. I couldn't have put it better myself. What, did I go Jake Marshall all of a sudden? Weird. This does state a clear case. Though, reading the report, something caught my eye. Oh, what's that? The circumstances of the defendant's arrest. The circumstances? Again? Hey, that's right, Apollo. Remember when we found Machi? That was bizarre. She's right. Where did Mr. Lotus's body disappear from the room? And end up on the top of the stage tower? Holding a guitar, no less. A perceptive observation here, Judge. Thanks. It was an accident, really. But you work in this job long enough, you get a nose for these things. Well, he sure seems pleased with himself. Very good, Fräulein Detective. Perhaps you could tie it together for us. Why was the body moved? And how does this lead us to the killer? Alright, this is a good stopping point. Yeah, there we go. Just about halfway. Hooray! Alright. So I think we're about halfway through this part of the trial. So I'm going to stop here. And then we'll pick it back up in the next episode and finish this up. See you next time.